You already know the feeling. A headline flashes on your screen, something alarming, something urgent, and before you've even decided to click, your thumb has already moved. You didn't choose that. Something older than you did. Somewhere behind your eyes, a system that has been running since before humans had language just made a decision on your behalf. Pay attention to this. It might matter. It might be dangerous. That system doesn't care about your mood. It cares about your survival. And today, we're going to open it up. For most of human history, missing a predator cost you your life. Missing a berry bush cost you a snack. So evolution built the brain to weigh those two mistakes very differently. Threat detection circuitry, centered in a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala, learned to fire fast and loud at anything resembling danger long before the slower, more deliberate parts of the brain even finish processing what's happening. This is what researchers call negativity bias. It isn't a character flaw, it's a survival algorithm, and it's still running exactly as designed, even though the predators in your life are now mostly notifications. But threat detection is only half the story. The other half is a chemical most people associate with pleasure: dopamine. Modern neuroscience has largely moved past the old idea that dopamine is simply a reward chemical. It's closer to a spotlight for uncertainty. Dopamine surges not when you get something good, but when something is unpredictable, intense, or new. A cliffhanger, a plot twist, a headline that doesn't resolve until you click. Put those two systems together, a brain wired to crave bad news and a chemical spotlight that flares for novelty and intensity, and you get a mind that is, quite literally, built to crave bad news. Not because you're broken, because your ancestors who ignored bad news didn't survive to pass on their genes.
That same hunger for intensity is exactly why one of the strangest frontiers in modern medicine involves psychedelics. New research published in the Journal of Psychopharmacology in 2026 looked at psilocybin, the compound found in certain mushrooms, in patients suffering from chronic cluster headaches, a condition so severe it's sometimes nicknamed suicide headache. Researchers studied 11 patients and found something unexpected. After psilocybin sessions, patients reported meaningfully better sleep quality, and that improvement in sleep tracked closely with fewer headache attacks. Brain scans even picked up subtle structural differences afterward. Why does sleep matter so much here? Because while you sleep, your brain physically maintains itself, clearing waste products, adjusting the density of nerve connections, reshaping the insulation around neurons. A brain in chronic pain often can't get that deep restorative sleep. This study suggests psilocybin may help restore it, and that the benefit compounds over time. It's a striking example of medicine deliberately reaching for the same neural intensity your brain evolved to chase, and finding that, guided properly, it can heal instead of just alarm.
Now for something that sounds like it belongs in a gym bag, not a psychiatry journal. Creatine has been sold in supplement tubs for decades, marketed almost entirely to people trying to build muscle. But a systematic review published in the journal Brain Medicine on June 30th, 2026, led by a team at the University of Ottawa, asked a very different question. Could creatine help treat depression? The reasoning starts with a simple biological fact. Muscle isn't the only tissue that runs on creatine's energy system. Your brain does too. Every neuron needs a constant, reliable supply of cellular energy to fire signals, repair itself, and stay resilient under stress. Creatine helps regenerate the molecule cells use for fuel, called ATP, faster than the body can do on its own. That matters because a growing body of research suggests depression isn't only a story about neurotransmitters like serotonin, it may also be a story about energy, specifically about brain cells that are running on emptier tanks than they should be. This is sometimes called the bioenergetic model of depression. If your neurons can't generate and use energy efficiently, the circuits that regulate mood may simply struggle to keep up. So what did the researchers actually find? They pulled together 6 published reports from 5 randomized controlled trials spanning South Korea, the United States, Brazil, India, and Israel. 238 participants in total, most of them women, averaging 36 years old. 4 trials focused on major depressive disorder, 1 on bipolar depression. The results were genuinely mixed, and that honesty matters. In one trial, adding 5 grams of daily creatine to the antidepressant escitalopram produced a notably larger drop in depressive symptoms than placebo after 8 weeks, a large effect by conventional statistical standards. But in other trials, creatine doses of 5 to 10 grams showed no real benefit for patients who had already failed to respond to other treatments. The researchers were careful not to oversell it. This isn't a cure, and nobody should read this as a green light to self-treat depression with supplements instead of proper care. But it is a genuine crack in the door, evidence that treating the brain's energy supply, not just its chemical messengers, might become part of how depression gets treated in the future.
Here's what connects a doom-scrolling thumb, a mushroom in a lab, and a tub of protein isle powder. Your brain was never just a thinking machine. It's an energy system wired by millions of years of survival pressure, constantly asking 2 questions underneath everything else. Is this dangerous, and do I have the fuel to deal with it? Bad news hijacks the first question. Chronic pain and depression may, in very different ways, both come down to the second. The more we learn, the less mental health looks like a separate category from the rest of biology, and the more it looks like an energy problem, a wiring problem, a survival system doing its best in a world it was never built for.